You are now listening to Couch Coach Live.
Yo.
So we're back here on Couch Coach Live. Another fantastic week here at Couch Coach Live, man. I got Maui in the building. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. I saw, what was it, Sunday, or I saw you doing big things, man. Chilling with your,
yeah.
That was all Bulls fans? Oh.
Yeah, man. Definitely a huge shout out to our guy, Jeff Needs Help. I was on Jeff Needs Help podcast. Doing the Last Dance pregame show. It was cool, man. It was nice. Being around, like you said, fellow Bulls fan, and it was fun to kind of reminiscing and talking about the post Last Dance of the Bulls. So I thought that was kind of cool how we kind of put that in there, in that perspective as well. And that, and we talked about, we covered a lot of stuff on that podcast, but it was good, man. It was a really good show.
Yeah. How did you feel, doing a podcast with fellow Bulls fans?
It was cool. It was like it was weird. It was not weird, but it was cool because like a lot of it we remember, and it's funny. Like we kind of talked about how, some of these things you remember, and it's kind of like it jogs your memory. And then like I remember we talked about just the opening game of that season. We talked about remembering when the Bulls lost to Boston. And we, talked about, the whole situation where, Antoine Walker was, like, shimmying like crazy. Chauncey Billups, Ron Mercer, who ended up becoming what we call a baby Bull. He was a part of that rebuild team, in Chicago. And just those type of things, kind of reflecting back on things. And then just talking about the documentary and then kind of previewing episode, 5 and 6. Because, we did that at 6 o'clock on Sunday. So 2 hours prior to the couple hours prior to the actual debut of it. So yeah, man, it was real cool.
That's great. That's what's up, man. I seen that they was all Bulls fans. I was like, oh yeah, you're like a big kid, like, ooh, they living in the past, like man, that's great.
But hey, it was a good pass, man. I ain't gonna front. It was fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, man. It was the best of times and then ended up being the worst of times. So as far as being a Bulls fan during that time, where
right,
everything was going well and then it all went just kaboom. So let's get into episode 5 and 6 of the Last Dance documentary. We're about halfway there, and I'm feeling a little sad. I'm not gonna front.
I'm not. I'm like, thank you.
Your thoughts?
My thought. Oh, don't be that way, Coach. Come on, man.
No. I want your take. We'll go around it.
My take is I want a really good documentary. I was upset because I'm like, where's Horace Grant at? You know what I'm saying? Now some things happen. We realize why he's not hardly in there. Also, you know what I mean. But then what I liked about it was the take of how Horace Grant felt. So it's like almost like I thought he might have left because Michael left, and he was like, man, I need to get my money, which he might have done that. But it seemed like to me he was like, everybody's acting like it's just you guys. I'm here too. And Horace Grant was very important to that first Bulls team. You know what I mean? You don't think so?
Oh, me? Oh, big time. He was huge.
Okay. And some information I didn't even know about the Dream Team, about how, the card games and all that, I can understand that, but the Kukoc situation. Now, I'm starting to get an argument with myself when I think about Jerry Krause, right? That's how you say his name? Krause? How do you say it?
Krause. Yeah, Krause, yeah.
Krause. I'm starting to get an argument with myself because I would talk bad about him. But one of my things was I want a general manager to really be a general manager, and you always think about the future of the franchise and the future of the team. And he seemed like, to me, he was still working. Like, just the same as he did when he built the Bulls team, getting Michael Jordan, finding Scottie Pippen, knowing how good Scottie Pippen was. You understand what I'm saying? And I felt like him finding Kukoc, I felt like Kukoc was a good pickup. You know what I mean? Another option that came out of nowhere. And then you learn the history of why he didn't come, dealing with things going on in his country. You know what I'm saying? And I was fascinated with that. I'm like, oh, wow, they going all out. They giving us everything. You know what I'm saying? And then it almost made me want to go watch those games because I didn't know it was so much personal issue with Kukoc coming and Scottie Pippen. So it's like a lot of these issues really was tearing up the team. Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of stuff, I didn't know that. That's one thing I didn't know. I didn't know because he drafted Kukoc that Michael and Scottie was so upset that they told the team, hey, Michael was like, me and Scottie got Kukoc, and then they do that to him, and then he fought back. I didn't know that. I love that. And then, of course, I love that they dabbed into how Jordan was feeling about being in the spotlight. I ain't talking about on court. I'm talking about just being the persona of Michael Jordan. I liked how when they felt like his last year, when he was in the All-Star game, how you can kind of sense him knowing that, I felt like he didn't have, he was almost like when he was speaking about Kobe Bryant, it was almost like Kobe got this hunger that I used to have, that I knew nobody else really had. You know what I'm saying, in the league. And this young man is coming in, and he has this hunger that I had when I was real young. You know what I mean? I felt, and then, of course, the gambling thing. Like, I'm like, hey, he's snitching on everybody, but I could understand why Jordan would be how he was, because for me to feel like a journalist is a journalist, I understand that. They're doing their job. But I thought it was a journalist from, like, Boston or something like that. It was one from Chicago who witnessed everything, all the greatness, and he did a book about, I think it's called The Jordan Rules.
Yeah, Sam Smith.
And he putting all that dirt in there like that. And me personally, I'm going to be honest with you, if I was Michael Jordan, it would hurt me because I would remember how the league was. The league was doing well, but Michael took it to another level. How the franchise was and how that, that franchise helped Chicago. I would feel some type of way that a person from Chicago or a journalist that lives in Chicago put that there. But I felt like when he was very arrogant, he told him, we're going to beat you when he, I think when he beat Boston in the playoffs, he might have taken personally, but that bothered me. I'm just being honest. That bothered me some. I'm like, damn. And then it told some truths about the golfing and gambling. And I do believe he was addicted to gambling because, like, the way he was answering, that sounded like somebody that's addicted to it. But, oh, well, like he said, he ain't losing no money or anything like that. And he's very competitive. But I was very satisfied. It's bothering me that we hadn't seen anything about Craig Hodges yet. I also didn't know that Michael didn't go to when the team went to the president, that Michael wasn't there, I thought that was interesting, too. I didn't know anything about that. But they definitely talked about the guy that he was playing golf with that actually was also the DEA was watching him, and Michael was a part of the Michael wrote him a check. I knew about that, so I was waiting for that. But I'm satisfied. Like, I want everything to be real and honest. And to hear Michael Jordan say that, he's very competitive, I knew that. And they showed him with the security guards throwing money. He was a dickhead. He was an asshole, but he was also a sweet guy. He also, like they said, as soon as he walked out his door, every kid that was handicapped, he always gave a little 10 minutes, you know. And I'm happy they're doing that because I've never been a superstar, but I think I could be more, you know, I'm a compassionate person. So when I know a person is in the lead on top, I always be like, man, just let them get some time to themselves. You know what I mean? Like, and it seemed like we got to see that when he was laying on the couch and he just was chilling. I remember him saying when he retired, one of his dreams is he just wanted to have a gut. He said, man, I just want to have a gut and a beer and a cigar. You know what I mean? I remember him saying that, and everybody looked at him like he was like, man, what the hell? And even to hear him say that he wished that he wasn't a role model. It's like that pressure really was getting to him. You know what I mean? He just wanted to be the best basketball player. That's all he wanted to do. But being black or from anywhere urban and you at that mountaintop, you got to understand you have a responsibility. And I'm sure, you know, that's my take. You know, more and more I'm talking, I'm remembering more stuff. But that's my take on it. I'm very satisfied, I tell you that. You know what I mean? That they giving us, seem like they're giving us everything. I hope that eventually, you know, some stuff come out with Craig Hodges. On you, Coach.
Yeah, so my thing, a lot of it was just interesting. I think one of the things that really stood out to me was the Kobe, that situation where you looked, and it's funny that we talked about how he was revered by his peers, and then to see this moment where he was revered by his elders. You're looking at guys, he was the talk of the locker room, and this is like, wow, you know, a 19-year-old kid at that time was pretty much a talk of grown 30-year-old men, people taking care of their families, and they're talking about a teenager that's getting ready to take over the league. So that was one of my biggest takeaways from that. And then David Falk, arguably one of the greatest agents of all time.
Uh-huh.
And to think that he looked at, you know, with that situation, and, you know, they showed a great piece of how he was a marketable commodity. It's one thing where it's like, to him to have that vision for Michael Jordan, because you got, like he said, back then, those guys, you know, he was representing guys like Jimmy Connors, our guy Arthur Ashe, Richmond legend.
Right.
And, you know, they were getting these type of endorsement deals, like little small endorsement deals, and have that wherewithal to have a Jordan in that same type of realm. And we got to really sit down and be real. You know, the NBA, nobody was marketable at that particular time for that type of realm. I mean, that was pretty much a drug league. All it's just a bunch of dudes that play basketball and on drugs.
Right.
I look at that well. And then Nike. And then it's just funny, the shoe companies. Converse. And that's one thing, too, where I think there's a lot of lessons in this stuff, too. And you look at, like, how Converse didn't even have the foresight to say, hey, it's like, nah, I can't have a shoe for Michael Jordan. It's too risky. And you're looking at like a company like Nike, who was essentially was selling track shoes. They were like pretty much like a track and field company. And then for them to pretty much take that chance on Jordan, I enjoyed that. And then another angle I like, and I'm glad that they cleared up the only Republicans wear shoes too, where it was kind of an off-kilter type of what we call locker room talk, where he was, you know, amongst his peer group. And then the whole thing of, and I'm glad how they presented the situation with Harvey Gatt versus Jerry Helms, the Senate race back in 1990. And I think a lot of that too can be guys present day, where I think sometimes, you know, we want our athletes to be we want them to be activists and what have you, but in the same token, we shouldn't expect, like in that case, Jordan being at that time he was 27 years old, for him to be this quote unquote, you know, the savior of North Carolina, the guy that was going to endorse a candidate like that who he didn't know. So, you know, that was very thoughtful and very tactful on his end to have that wherewithal. Like, look, and I said, yeah, it was selfish, and he even admit, like, yeah, it was kind of selfish not to be in that predicament, but I was working on my craft, which that's what he was supposed to do at that particular time. And, so my thing is I hated how, previously before this documentary was constructed, how people would always, and, and everybody know I'm a Jordan fan to forever. And they always used to be like, well, he's not an activist. He's not like everybody else. And I'm glad how, in a sense, this brought it to the forefront where he was able to kind of tell his narrative for me, like, hey, at that particular time in my life, I wanted to focus on my craft. I didn't, that just didn't interest me. And it's always a point in somebody's life where this, like politics, a lot of us at 27 years old aren't really 100% in no politics. But as you get older and you really realize how it works, then, yeah, that's when it happens. But, for him to be 27 and have that, and then another one is Jordan has some bad PR. Like, who in the hell? Somebody should have told him, when you interview Amar Rashad, do not wear no sunglasses. Don't do that. Like, Mike, come on, Mike. Don't wear no sunglasses, dog.
That was part of it, B. That was all part. Like, he was built a certain way. And you got to understand, he came out of nowhere and had all these different ideas that was working, and it came out of nowhere. When honestly, the persona, and that's why I put the persona that they meet, and I'm talking from my age, is that they made him look a certain way. When all hands down, he was just a basketball player. The stuff with the endorsements, the shoes, the $1 million smile, that was all extra stuff that he just felt like he did, or kind of an obligation. You know what I mean? And it came a little bit with him. But he was just a basketball player. That's all he felt like. That's all he really wanted to do. But the persona that they were showing us, that you would think he would be an activist. Because to me, like I said, it's the evolution of the basketball, of the athlete. Look at Magic and how Magic's PR was, and how before him, how Dr. J carried himself. Then Magic's PR, and then you got Michael Jordan comes, so you got to speak well, you got to do this, you got to do that. When I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, he fell into that, and he really, truthfully, he did a very good job. I don't think he really was ready for it. You know what I mean? Like, Magic, to me, being in L.A., they made sure that he was ready for it. I don't think Michael was ready for it, because when the negativity came, it was coming at him hard, and it was hitting him. You see it all over his face. It looked like when he used to lose a game, you see how his face would look? That's exactly how I felt when all the negativity was starting to hit him. And then they showing it in the back. It was like he was getting so uncomfortable that he couldn't even speak. He couldn't even say, like, he'd say something or cuss, and he'd be like, I didn't mean it that way. You know what I'm saying? And dude said something about, thank you, God. And he said, he said something like, well, God's right here. And he said, man, I'm just joking. And it got very touchy for him. And I think that takes from what you really was trying to do, is really just win championships and play basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You talking about when Randy Brown wanted to get an extra ticket.
Yeah. And you know what bothered me is
Randy Brown.
Bothered me. I've seen tickets, and I started thinking about Pat Riley and another player, and I said, "Oh wow," because it was hard to get tickets, and Michael never always had tickets. But I do. What I'm saying is, to be in that forefront, he did a wonderful job. Like, a lot of stuff I did not know. I used to pay a lot of attention to it to a point, but I never knew that he was so uncomfortable with dealing with the negative being thrown at him. You know what I mean? Like, even the league was kind of being negative to him towards his gambling and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was really to the point that he didn't even talk to reporters no more. You know what I mean? And that also was about, him leaving or retiring. It reminded me of Dr. J. Dr. J, when he retired, he told him, the media, I'm going to go ahead and retire. And he said, I'm retiring because you guys have been asking me for the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying? But for me, they painted a persona like that. I thought Michael Jordan would be able to handle that. Now I understand why his Hall of Fame, he was so It gave him a chance to really speak his mind.
Oh yeah, and he don't let nothing die. That's evident.
Yeah, he don't. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, he seemed like he was fun. He seemed like he's fun to be around, right? Especially behind closed doors. But deep down, do you think you could deal with it?
Oh no. That's why like he's like, to me, would be the quintessential example of don't meet your idols, because you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I think that's, and I look at it from that standpoint. But I mean, hey, it was funny. That whole Randy Brown thing was hilarious to me, and it's like you said, it was awkward, but it was weird because, like, you know, Randy Brown was kind of like, all right, I'm joking with you, but then the pause, like, I feel like you serious, like you being like, you know, like you said, being an asshole about it.
They even kicked him out.
And it's just
like,
yeah, right. And that's how I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like, how, like, it's so weird when you sit down and think about, like, you joking one minute and then he's saying something like that, and then, like, look, I'm kicking you out. And I thought it was funny, but it was kind of awkward. If I was Randy Brown, I'd be a little like, man, whatever, dude. Just give me my ticket.
And I also remember we were talking. We said, you know, LeBron might have been the first one dealing with social media. I think from a media standpoint, I think that Mike might be the first one where his teammates and the people that he worked with at the team was actually giving. I think because they made him they put him out to be this perfect guy, that they was putting stuff out there behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? That they was putting his dirty laundry out there. You know what I'm saying? And getting paid for it, like early TMZ type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because and remember how and remember how they were saying the Sam Smith book and the Jordan rules, and how everybody was like, well, Horace did it. Remember Jordan was like, well, that was Horace. And then, like you said, I don't think it was him, you know, either. Like, and they were saying how, you know, he got those information from various players and even on the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, and that's like I'm saying. And there's a little bit of jealousy and animosity, because you got to really sit down and think about it. Like you said, if they putting a guy on a pedestal and you deal with this guy every day, dude, he's not on the pedestal. Like, he's not a. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm my bad, Coach. Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, yeah, you would always feel a certain way if you're around somebody every day in a working space of that type of nature, and they just build this guy up, and they saying he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh, he's this great, nice person. This and third. And you're like, no, not. Hold up now. I tell you some stuff about him.
Right. And especially if he done pissed you off and said something a certain way. You know what I mean? To the point, think about it. Think about if somebody was outplaying him. Or think about you in a game and you done made 5 shots, you hot, but you got to get the ball back up to him. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't put like this. What I'm saying, it was not all Jerry's fault. It also was Mike's. You know what I'm saying? Mike was feeling on the Mike was he was the man, so he should feel like he on a pedestal. He worked hard. He changed the whole league. Understand, one thing I would say this, and before that it was Dr. J. Michael Jordan saved the league because it was a drug league. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was only a few teams that was being competitive. The rest of them, they was getting high and drunk. They just was, you know what I mean, loving life. We playing in the NBA. They wasn't even really trying. But, you know what I'm saying? And Michael putting it out there because he is a snitch. Like,
I mean, and the thing about it,
he is, man.
I mean, like, were we really surprised, like, that stuff was going on in 1984 in the NBA?
I mean,
I get it, but at that time,
I mean, not really, but you know, and I don't even think that's a big deal, because I think even moving to the 2000s, we know now they was smoking weed and this and that, because it's being told. It shows that they talking about it now. A lot of those guys is in the industry of cannabis now. You know what I'm saying? Like, they own their own. So But it made it more marketable. I wish that, it sucks, man, because I would have loved to see a lot more episodes based upon how he changed the culture. Because the shorts got bigger, got longer. Not just his shoes, the tongue. I remember, it was very rebellious for him to be, playing basketball with his tongue out. I remember that, people talking about how he had his tongue out when he'd dunk on you and this and that. Nobody else was doing that. So I would like to know, was that something that he naturally came up with, or was that something that he just naturally did? You know what I mean? Or what? But that was part of it. And then also, I'm happy that, like you said, I'm happy that they brung what's my man from New York, little small dude. I'm tripping.
Mark Jackson?
No, not the
Starks. You talking about Starks? Oh, Spike Lee.
Yeah,
Spike
yeah.
Lee.
Spike Lee. I'm happy that they. My bad, it's tripping. I'm happy they brung Spike Lee, especially with everything that just happened to him. I think the NBA and I think the Knicks need to be reminded who he really is. He's really he's another one. He's the reason the NBA changed too, because he meant a lot to black people. Spike Lee did, and She Gotta Have It, and that character meant a lot. So, and what's the other movie? Do the Right Thing. And to see Michael beside him, that made us look at him. That made everybody else, and then hip hop, because Magic was one thing, but that took Jordan somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Run DMC was Adidas, Converse was the NBA, but Michael Jordan was Nike. You feel me? And I wish that I was so excited to see that, and I'm sorry I didn't bring that up, but I'm so excited because I want to hear more about that, because that really changed culture. That's culture that's going on to now that's probably never going to end. Just, you know what I'm saying? McDonald's, Gatorade, he really changed all that. Those three things is crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
And it speaks to the genius of David Falk, who had that foresight, which is crazy. And then it's funny, the Nike situation, it wouldn't have happened if Jordan Mama told him, because he didn't want to go.
Yeah, he wanted.
His
I
mom
really
was I like Adidas because he wore Adidas in Carolina. And, it's funny, when we say that. But, yeah, part of me, I've kind of did a 180 on Jerry Krause in a sense. And this basically on Charles Barkley. And it's sad because a part of me, it's to me, it's really the root cause of it all is Reinsdorf, the owner, which Reinsdorf. Okay. He's the one. When you really sit down and think about it, and somebody really had to think about it, and Charles Barkley was one of the guys who, because he did a bunch of interviews the last 48 hours about the whole '93 finals experience, and and I kind of came around. I kind of wish Jerry Krause in a sense was still alive, where he was able to kind of defend himself, because I thought a lot of stuff is kind of, and that's why I kind of been very respectful of it, because at the end of the day, this man is gone. He can't really defend himself. But then you really sit down and think about it. A lot of the moves that was orchestrated as far as these guys not getting paid, that's Reinsdorf. That's him just doing, that. And another thing, too, where it was going back to what we were talking about Horace, because Horace was another guy who should have got paid, but he got his money in Orlando. But like you said, he lived in, and that was one of the things when he went to Orlando, which – at that time, going to Orlando as a free agent was why? From that standpoint, even though they had Shaq and Penny, but in that same token, going to Orlando was really? And like you said, it was one of the things he wanted to live out that shadow. And that's, and that's fair, you get to a point, especially, and that's another thing, too, that makes this kind of special, because you look at guys now, it's hard to kind of keep a team and that type of nucleus together for 3 years without, I mean, I know they've had some infighting here and there, but it's not nothing that we it's broadcast, and not like what's going on now, present day, when you look at the Warriors situation where there was infighting with Draymond Green and Kevin Durant, those type of situations, and they'll premiate, and of course the Cleveland situation, the Miami situation, where
right.
you heard leaks of that, versus here, you had leaks in Chicago, but in the same token, it's hard to keep this, that type of nucleus together. So I think that's another thing that is too. And then the whole thing with the Dream Team. I think Dream Team, that was, the whole Tony Kukoc thing where, and it's funny, it just lets you know how, not petty, but just Jordan is just one thing. It's almost in a sense, it is. And it's crazy because, and it won't no fault of him. It was more so of just, they were essentially upset at Krause getting him, and they could have got somebody at that time that could fill an immediate void.
And
they took it out on Tony.
Oh, yeah. And there's a few things. Because I remember I was telling you they always keep talking about how soft the league is and this, and that. But that Dream Team, okay, the person, one of the people who, that Dream Team and those Olympics started them via to see players that could stand up with those guys. Yeah, they was getting demolished. But Kukoc, there was a few of them that from Croatia ended up playing in the NBA. You know what I mean? And I think that's when the NBA started wanting to come overseas and get more players. And that's when the flopping, some of the dirty play, more not really dirty like Bad Boys, but somewhat. You know what I mean? Started coming along. More tall guys that could dribble to shoot threes. You know what I mean? And that's when I believe the NBA, they keep saying other names, and I'm like, nah, once those European players came, the whole dynamic started changing. You know what I mean? And I believe it was also that when Michael Jordan going to tell Charles Barkley and them dudes about what really was going on, and they ain't trying to, we going to do this for Pippen. Man, them boys did not need no more type of motivation. Man, I felt so bad for Kukoc. Man.
And back to that one. So now with Kukoc, but it was one of the things where it helped him because at the end of the day,
right,
it was an opening experience for him. I opened it for him, and then it opened, Jordan and Pippen like, hey, this guy's tough, and we got a solid teammate. But I mean, and it's one of the things where I understand on both ends, and it really wasn't lobbed towards Kukoc in a sense. But that's one thing where it's like that was just interesting to kind of showcase that.
And you're right, and also, man, like you're right too, because Jerry ain't there to stick up for them. You never know. Jerry might have said, I wanted to. Well, yes, we kind of do know he didn't play Pippen, because I was gonna say, I just felt like he was still doing his job though. He was trying to get players to still come to move them forward. Like, you know what I mean? Some of them dudes get complacent, and they not trying to get nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just, it is what it is. And that's coming from a dude, watching them Cavs. What LeBron had to go in the media and say, hey, we top heavy. And everybody saying, well, he want everybody to play for him. He's really saying, nah, they just want me to do everything. They need to get some people in here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like Jerry was trying to do his job. But what else, man? There was some other stuff that happened that was really, really decent. Let me see. And like, do you feel like Phil might have knew that Dre might have told Phil early, like later on, eventually I'm gonna let you go and start brand new? You think he might have told him that? Because I know. Mike said Mike said that he was tired. Mike was saying Phil is tired. I remember him saying it. He said Phil needs some time, and Phil is tired.
Of course. I think even going into like the 97, like after they won against Utah the first time in 97, they were like, it was talk even going into that series and stuff like they were going to break up this team and what have you. But most definitely. And
Paxson retired, right? Then he
was
retired
gone
after the first and second championship.
So he was gone after the because he hit that game-winning shot against Phoenix, and then I don't know what actually year he retired. But I know he wasn't part of the 95-96 team.
Right.
But it's just all of it was just interesting, like just to hold the parallel of it. And let's talk about episode 7 and 8.
I don't know, man. I'm excited. I think they're doing a wonderful job. I don't know where else they go. The Rodman in the NWO. I don't know. Maybe the death. I shouldn't. But the death. Maybe the passing of his father. Maybe. Him leaving, and what he had to deal with leaving, I guess, or retiring. Oh my God. I don't know. I hope they talk about, last time I was like Horace Grant, but I'm hoping they give Craig Hodges a shout out.
And that's crazy because when you really sit down and think about it, that would have been perfect tie-in after the whole situation of Jordan not going to the White House, and tying that in with the politics. Because you think about it, because I think that happened in '92. Where Craig Hodges goes to the White House and he talks to George Bush, the late George Bush, and he goes over some certain things, and then you think about it. I think at that time he led the league in 3-point percentage, and you never heard anything from him after that.
And that's he went to the White House and said what he said. I just think it needs to be. I'm hoping that they bring that up.
Which I don't. It would at this point you don't think because because you think about it, it's not. So we had 93 after they just won against Phoenix, and then they're in the playoffs in '98. Well, they were going to go to the playoffs in '98. That's why I wish it would have been tied in the last 2 episodes. But I think going forward, we're definitely going to be the father, his father's death, because of course that happened in '93. Then Jordan retiring, then Scotty taking over the mantle for 18 months, and then the return, and then the playoffs in '98, which I think they played the Nets. The first round, and then I think.
So basically, you get to see number 45.
Yeah, you'll see number 45. You probably see the steal by Nick Anderson, probably the greatest player of his career. And
shots fired.
But yeah, it's gonna. I think 7 and 8 is gonna be interesting. I wonder who's gonna be essentially like the key players, like the guy, like the as far as. Who's going to be like having these cameo appearances in a sense. I think I'm just really intrigued of what's going to happen with that and the retirement, and then whose narrative is going to be intertwined with this. That's why I think it's because I think everything else is a little bit obvious going forward because of the way the timeline has been, but this one's going to have a little intrigue because this is where it can, it's going to hit a dark part of the document in a sense as far as, the trials and tribulations going on with Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I will say, though, just to piggyback on it, like, it did make me feel a little uncomfortable. Like, I started feeling sorry for him. I ain't even going to lie. Even though he's a butthead, I started feeling sorry for him about the gambling thing because I'm like, oh, man, they put him up, now they built him up, so now he being attacked of some stuff that he clearly liked to do to keep his mind off the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Being such a public figure, not having his time to himself, and you know what I mean? Like he literally he liked the gambling, and he liked to gamble based upon the stuff that he liked to do, playing cards, he grew up that way. That's what people don't understand. Like his whole life was, I want my dad's attention, and he would play basketball all the time. And ain't no telling what else he would do. You know what I'm saying? And I think his dad, being a parent, I think his father probably said, would play along with that because he started seeing him win and he started seeing how hard he was working. And I think that's when when they started attacking him and he did that 2 weeks where he didn't talk to no media and his dad took over, he held him. And I think that's one thing that Michael always wanted, for his father to give him attention and hold him. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he's able to, like, express. He was like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take over. And it's funny, man, when a lot of athletes go through that. Their dads, like Oscar De La Hoya lost to Felix Trinidad, which I felt Oscar won. He just didn't fight the way he usually fights. So he lost. And he walked out the ring, and that was his first loss. And the first thing happened was his dad hugged him and said, I've never been somewhere prouder than you. He's always wanted that. It was always his mom, the one giving him his nurturing him. You see what I'm saying? And I think that might be something a lot of athletes deal with, and I think that's one thing that touched me. His dad took over and said, hey, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Mike was like, thank God somebody stepped up and did that for me. Because really, it's Michael Jordan. He should have had PR people and this, and that taking care of all that mess, you know? But, yeah,
Absolutely.
man. Yeah, man. Also, I liked Horace Grant was able, Mike said, I felt like it was Horace that was giving the information. That Horace said, it wasn't me, but you know what? I see everybody want to blame me, so I'll take it. I did it. You know what I mean? But it just made me look like, okay, it was a lot of backstabbing. Everybody jumped on the bridge. Everybody jumped on the ship. But everybody probably had something to say.
Oh, yeah. That's what comes with winning, man. That's the thing about it.
Right.
So let's talk about one of the most, not a head scratching, but one of those kind of like make you go, So Andy Dalton signs with the Dallas Cowboys. So he signs a 1-year, $3 million contract with the Cowboys.
Right.
He has an opportunity to get potentially $7 million based on incentives.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on Andy Dalton as a Dallas Cowboy?
Oh, man, it's been hard. I mean, it's been now. He's a decent quarterback, and him being a Cowboy now is probably a breath of fresh air because he's been down there in Cincinnati, where we can all kind of look at it and be like, this organization should be way better than the Browns, but it damn sure is. Like, you know what I mean? And I ain't saying team, I'm saying organization. It's been horrible. And they've been, I feel like it's a breath of fresh air for him. I feel like he has a little more experience than Dak. You know what I mean? And I'm not even mad at it. I would love to hear what Chip has to say, but about that. But at the same time, it's bothering me because, and I'm not a Cowboy fan, I ain't even a Dak fan. But when you look at it, he getting paid $2 million, and then he done fought for you, and fought for you, and fought for you. And even backups on some stuff that probably he really didn't agree with. But he on his Ray Lewis. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? He on his Ray Lewis. So just trying to give support to his team, and because they supported him at his darkest time, and it will bother me because Dak is not a backup. Dak should be starting. He been starting there, so he shouldn't be. And you know what I mean? He shouldn't be starting. I mean, backing up Andy. This is definitely, I'm sorry, this is some race stuff. And I don't know, I hate saying it because it takes the joy out of sports. You know what I mean? But it's got to be. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make any sense. Or unless Dak is being extremely greedy. And
well,
I would say this too. I also think that if it's like that, it's also a pretty good leverage thing that the Dallas Cowboys is doing. But I want to tell everybody, I think the NFL is about to start doing this. There ain't no loyalty. If they being loyal to you, it is for a reason. You know what I mean? All these quarterbacks, these old quarterbacks, this and that signing, all these 1-year deals. You know what I mean? For what? That's crazy. Anyway, on you. I can't see you.
So my thing is, I don't fault the Cowboys, honestly. I mean, if you can get a guy who was making $16 million last year and you can get him for $3 million, and for him to be your backup quarterback, perfect. And like I always say, your best, you're only as good as your backup.
Right.
So to get a guy like Andy Dalton, you got to really sit down and think about it. That's their best backup quarterback since Dak was the backup quarterback to Tony Romo.
Right.
And you get him for this type of deal. And I think this is one of the things where the Cowboys, in a sense, where, because I know there's been reports, because I know Dak I think he turned down, I want to say it was a $35 million contract, because I think he was going to get it like an inch, just a little slightly above Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. But of course, he wanted more. And I think the Cowboys are just at a point where it's like, okay, we need to see a little bit more on his end, because when you really sit down and think about it, the next quarterback is going to be up on the table. You're thinking like a guy like a Patrick Mahomes, who I think when if he gets an extension either next year or or 2 years, or they wait in 2 years, he's going to get probably about $40 million. And the Cowboys, do you think to yourself, well, if we drag our feet, is he worth giving that type of money to a Patrick Mahomes who was a Super Bowl MVP? What do we do? Where it sucks for Dak, because in a sense he doesn't have that leverage like he previously thought, like he did in September. Where and I used to be the same way, where I well, what are the Cowboys gonna do? Ain't nobody else that's like Dak Prescott that's in this league currently that they have that in the sense that. It's almost like they stuck with him. Not stuck with him, but more so in the sense of just pay that man, because I don't think you can get a quarterback of that type of nature. And then here goes Andy Dalton, who comes in for the cheap. And I mean, it's a great deal. I mean, you get you get a guy like an Andy Dalton, who's like is thrown over 30,000 yards in his career. He's been in the playoffs 5 times, even though he's lost every game. But he's been in the playoffs for 5 years, 5 out of his 10 years. Half his career he's led his team to the playoffs. And that Cincinnati teams, they overachieved. I mean, when you sit there to think about it, just imagine him being there. If they look at him as a long-term answer. And you got more talent around in Dallas than you ever had in Cincinnati whatsoever. So you look at it, I mean, it makes sense for the Cowboys. I mean, at the point they got the leverage. They have the leverage now, because if Dak want to kind of, hold out, guess what? You can hold all you want. I got Andy Dalton in the chamber. I got the red rifle. In the chamber, like you can jump through it all you want. You can go and miss these virtual meetings all you want. But I got Andy that playbook. He can have a little bit of advantage over you. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things where the Cowboys are just smart. I mean, I'm not gonna front. They making the right move. I'm not even gonna front, because when I think about it, man, he do got a little bit more. I just wish they make a decision, and I don't know. I kind of wish they'd trade Dak and so Dak can just, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it's okay, you ain't got to hold out. Let me trade you to a team that feel like they want you, see what I can get from you. I don't understand. I think all of this stuff should be set up like business partners. If we can't agree upon something, then let me see if I can get somebody, you know what I'm saying, give you what you want. And then if I can get something for you from that standpoint, you know what I mean? I don't understand why they don't do that and everybody will win. If they wanted Dak, I think they would sign Dak. Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, they wouldn't even sign Andy Dalton. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're gonna sign, you get Tony Romo all that money, and Tony Romo really didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Right. But no doubt.
Cowboy fans, you know what I mean, that he was better than what he really was. What he was a $1 million smile, a probably cool guy. He went out there and balled, but, you know.
Yeah, and I think in Romo, in the sense, he overachieved. I mean, he was when you sit down and really think about it, he overachieved. He was an undrafted free agent, and I mean, I forgot it was a weird stat. He was like, I think at one point he's had he put up some great numbers. I mean, he put up good numbers for somebody who was. I mean, that's what I'm just saying. He put up fairly decent numbers. He had, I think he's had most fourth quarter comebacks in Cowboy history as far as quarterback wise. And you look at that whole totality, and I mean, and like you said, and this just clearly shows you, it clearly illustrates you in the sense that they're just not committed to him, and that's what happens. Right. And that's just the way things are, and it sucks on Dak end because he has no leverage. He can't hold out, because if he holds out and you have a new head coach, your backup quarterback is probably going to have, he's going to have, if you hold out to a point where you're going to be behind, you're going to be behind the backup quarterback. Like Andy can get the playbook today and grasp it. Right. Versus, so, as a new coach.
And you're an NFL guy. Don't you think it's weird that they got this new coach? They got the coach in, right? But they ain't even really handle the business for Dak just yet. Wouldn't you want to handle the business for Dak and then get the coach in? Handle all that business? Especially when you're trying to win. You see, you Cowboys, you really trying to get in the playoffs and win a championship. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you think that would happen?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if they were committed. Almost just and I don't want to put the comparison between the two, you look at what Carolina did. They solidified Christian McCaffrey. They were like, look, I'm going to throw the bank at you. You're the highest paid running back in this league. And I'm going to give Teddy Bridgewater $20 million. They look, I know for certain I got him for 3 years, $63 million. Boom. I got him. I have something solidified. With them, they're just not 100% sold. And it's just it's like I used to say with a situation at Washington. Kirk Cousins, he was a girlfriend. We never wanted to put a ring on it. We didn't want to commit to him. And I said that for the beginning. So it's almost like being in a relationship with somebody for that long period of time and not knowing if you want to marry that person or not. That's what happened with us. This is going to happen with Dak. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, hey, sucks. And I'm glad you brought up when we talked about, as far as the certain elements. So Donovan McNabb, we all know, former Eagles, former Redskin, and former Vikings quarterback, took to Twitter on Saturday, after all this stuff happened. So I'm going to read out his tweet. So Andy Dalton signs a 1-year deal for up to $7 million if he reaches possible incentives. Jameis Winston signs a 1-year deal for $1 million. Dak can't seem to get his contract he deserves, and Cam Newton is still on the street. Anyone have any questions? Am I the only one? Question mark. Let's dissect it. You go first.
I mean, I don't have to. I've been saying it for the long. I don't have to really dissect it. You know what I mean? I said, and I've been talking to a couple of family members about it. It seems like the CBA, something. Some people say it's payback for Cam. You know what I mean? But some people, it just seemed like the CBA, the players might not have handled their business. I have not read the CBA, but what I'm saying is, since then, it seemed like the NFL is doing. It seemed like it's in your face, and they doing it a certain way, and it's in your face, and it's like, okay, we gonna do it like this. Y'all don't like it? Well, you signed the CBA, and these other things are more important to y'all. Like, it's a lot of guys sign 1-year deals. There's some guys that we know for a fact should be signed right now, and they're not signed. And yes, Cam Newton is one, and it doesn't make any sense. Because I know Cam, if anything, he's in the top 8 of quarterbacks, at least top 10. at least. So why doesn't he have a job?
Yeah, and the thing is, and I think more so, I think the 1 year deal thing. I think a lot of people, because next year is gonna be 17 games. So I guess the money gonna they're gonna get more money. And I don't know if the TV deal is coming up or not. I think is it this year or the following year? So I think a lot of people sign on 1 year deals. I think when you look at these quarterbacks too, and you think about it, because the market is so bad, where it's like I'm just going to go here, and then maybe the market opens up for me next year, more so than that. And I think it's that too, and then coupled with, next year they have a 17-game season, so it'll be a little bit more money involved. For McNabb, it's a part of me that just the tweet alone, it's kind of one of those things where it's like he should have lumped it in a certain way. I think comparing Andy Dalton to Jameis Winston is unfair because in the same token, y'all were willing to give Jameis Winston more money, but he decided to go to New Orleans. That's on him. And so I can't fault at that. And then you should really think to yourself, but I'm glad that. But it's weird because he should have really said something about Andy Dalton in a sense too. Because I look at it from his perspective, and I understand he looks at it from a race spectrum. But as far as a quarterback too, because Andy Dalton getting signed for $3 million when he was making $16 million last year,
right.
like that's when you think about that, it's just crazy. Like, and then you look at like Teddy Bridgewater's getting $20 million. He was a backup last year. He got $20 million. That's crazy when you sit down and think about it. He's getting that kind of money.
Right.
Now, the thing is this. The Dak, we kind of unpacked the Dak situation, which is more so I think it's just Dallas just don't want to commit, and then, Dak was playing a little bit of hardball, and then now it's almost like it's going to bite him in it's almost in a sense kind of bit his nose and spite his face.
Mm-hmm.
The Cam Newton thing, I get that, but a part of me says this, and I just want people to hear this verbatim. Mm-hmm. Yes, he deserves to be in the league, but in the same token, we still got to remember of what's going on now, where he can't visit teams, he can't get physicals. In the last 2 years, he missed 16 out of 32 games. He's essentially missed half of the games in the last 2 years. He's recovering from a shoulder injury and from a foot injury. Now, if Andy Dalton had the same injuries, we got a problem. Like, to me, when there's smoke, there's fire. I do understand that part, but until it's in my face, it's in our face. But it's almost, and this is I can kind of bring it home with this point, and we've been in the industry. You've seen people who you suspect steal. Then you see people who put items in their shirt. They put items in their clothing. Mm-hmm. We're at a point where we know now the Andy Dalton situation was the same way. He was coming off 2 major injuries like that. Then that's the person putting chips in a bag and like, oh yeah, we know they stealing. Mm-hmm. This is the guy walking down guy or girl walking down the aisle, kind of looking to see who looking at them. This situation reminds me of it. Yes, it does raise a red flag when you got a situation like that where you're like, okay, well at least. And the type of money that these guys are getting, like they're getting these quarterbacks at like pennies, and you don't think like you. And then I hear the narrative, and this one thing too I don't like, because people say, well, Cam Newton's not accepting, he got to be a starter, but I heard the same thing about Colin Kaepernick, and that like to me honestly, was that true? No. I mean, it was to a point where that's what, like, everybody say, well, you hear people say, well, Cam Newton, he will be, he don't want to be a starter. But I'm like, has he explicitly said that?
No.
No.
He wants to be a starter. He don't want to be a starter.
But that's what but the thing is, he hasn't voiced that. That's just like if you say something out of your mouth, like me, that's like me putting words in your mouth. If you're saying something, I just say an example. Yeah, I'm going somewhere Friday. Yeah, man, Deshaun going somewhere Saturday. He said he going somewhere Friday. Why am I saying you going somewhere Saturday? You going somewhere Friday, and I'm talking about Saturday. I'm putting words in your mouth. Like, has he said that? No, he didn't say anything. He's just been very quiet in the situation. And then just the fact, I just really sincerely hated how, and that's why, like, if we go back to the organization, this is not loyal. Like Carolina, like we all knew you were going to get rid of Cam Newton. Why you just didn't get rid of this man? To me, you could have got rid of that man early enough where he could have got his stuff taken care of. Like you cannot get rid of a guy on March 24th, essentially a month before the draft. Pretty much all the free agent market kind of dried up, and then coupled with the situation that's going on now with the league where these teams can't even be in the facilities. Like, they can't do nothing. They're doing all their work from home. And it sucks. It really, like I said, it was like I was saying a few weeks ago, it just sucks. The timing of it just really sucks. And that's why part of me, I kind of wanted everything to, in a sense, be normal, where we can really say definitively, be like, look, this is blatant. It's BLA, but it ain't blatant, the whole phrase. But it's halfway there. It's just you can't put your finger on it per se, but you can have your finger out. You just can't point to it. It's there.
Right. But it's just these 1-year deals. Like, for me, it's weird because these are backups that really should be starting. So I'm like, y'all giving them 1-year deals. Do you feel like, I don't know. It's just weird to me. Like Jameson, damn, you know what I'm saying. He basically, to me, he could start somewhere. He really could. Dalton can start somewhere. He's better than some of the starting quarterbacks. It's just weird to me because some of these quarterbacks I don't even think should be starting, and they are, and they're getting paid. And I'm like, like Bridgewater did. I could understand paying him. He did great with the Saints to the point that people was questioning, should they start Drew Brees? Because he was doing so well. You know what I mean? Now, they did, but question, what if they didn't? And we'll never know. And the Saints went, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they'd be more successful. You know what I mean? I don't know. But these 1-year deals, it makes sense to you? Like, I know that they making the deals and it's good for the team, but
I think it's good for them because they can just go. Like, you just think about it like Jameis Winston, where if he goes in like New Orleans, like we said last week, and he becomes like this ultimate savant, he changed his ways. He kind of, with that, you can't ignore the fact that this man did lead the league in passing yards. I mean, I do want to gloss over the 30 interceptions. I really want to do that, and then the fact of him getting eye surgery, which could potentially help him.
Right.
Because I mean, he was squinting even in college. Like he couldn't see in college. So hopefully that happens, and then he can go somewhere and sign a big time deal. And the same thing with Andy Dalton. If the Dallas situation works in or out his favor, Dallas might be like, look, I can probably pay you $25 million, and you might be satisfied. I can get you for 4 years $100 million, and that might potentially happen. And Jameis' situation, I think I think both of these two guys, in a sense, they're just taking a chance on themselves. Because at this point, do you really want to kind of lock in? And like you said, and you even said it yourself, these guys should be a starting quarterback in this league, and rightfully so. And this is just more so, I think, in the sense of in their eyes, like, well, let me take a chance on myself and let me take a chance on myself, come here, get a little bit of experience, kind of, be in the mix, and then, stay injury-free, and maybe next year, it'll open up. Because, to me, New England would be a perfect spot for either one of these guys, even like a Cam Newton. And it's funny because everybody linked New England. All these guys in essentially was linked to New England at one point. They were all linked because there's a quarterback need there, and then a part of me is well, do you look at a Jacksonville in the sense, are they going to tank to get a Trevor Lawrence? In my mind, I'm thinking that already, where his team just gonna nail it in and try to get the the number one draft pick next year and get the transcending star.
Right.
Who's to say? You look at especially a guy like Jacksonville. I really sincerely doubt it because I really thought Andy Dalton was gonna go there because of course his relationship with Jay Gruden, and that would be perfect. And you can kind of look at Jacksonville they could kind of get some wins going, but the problem is would you want to take that chance to kind of have a game manager and win 5 games and then lose out on a talent like a Trevor Lawrence next year? Who's to say?
Right. It's just strange because it's a lot of 1-year deals. It's a lot of receivers, running back. It's a lot of 1-year deals that I thought was kind of interesting because I would think it's such a free fall in the NFL. So many players, man, that you would try to. Those players that are premier players, try to lock them in at least. I can understand a 2-year deal, but a year, it's just strange to me.
Yeah.
But, hey, you're the expert.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't say the expert, but I'm just giving a take. But, I think a quarterback in their situation, everybody else, it is kind of questionable, but I can see in their end. So, now I kind of just can kind of reel it back with Donovan McNabb tweet where it's one of the things where it's just I get it, and coming from him, I understand because I know he went through a lot of stuff, and I get as far, but that's just how it is for a quarterback, and it's just crazy. That's why I wish in a sense where Cam Newton could have got somewhat of a fair shot. Not saying but I mean as far as him having that ability to kind of be able to kind of go to facilities and, so we'll know for definitively look, teams are looking at him. And I think teams are kind of looking at him, but then it's just, it don't help because of the timing of it all. This is by far the worst time to be a free agent coming off an injury. By far.
Right.
But
I think Cam's gonna be okay. I also think, the messed up thing is I think I shouldn't even be saying this, but I'm gonna be honest. If he was to cut his hair and get all sophisticated and all right, you remember when Deion Sanders was wilding out, and you know what I mean, and then out the blue, cut his hair, got situated, and said that he gave himself to Christ. Everything changed. You know what I mean? Overnight, I think something was going on. And then, the later on the next week or that week, I remember him saying he gave himself to Christ, this, and that. Then it changed. Everything changed. He wasn't controversy anymore. You know what I mean? And I just feel like maybe because they let him be, I really hate doing this, but him being himself, him being a brand, him being wild, and what's the word I'm looking for? Very eccentric.
Yeah, very, very much so.
that
the auntie.
He hasn't really progressed. You doing that, you went to one Super Bowl. Every time you own the ball and you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're exciting, you're an MVP candidate, but it's you just 3 and out. What you doing? What's up? He's still at a point where he can use his legs. You know what I mean? He's still one of the biggest quarterbacks out there.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like he got complacent, and I don't want to say that, but it does. It seemed like he got complacent, and he really wasn't trying to win. He just out there, 3 and out. I'm like, oh, my goodness, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Are you trying? To me, it seemed like he wasn't. And so you're doing all this eccentric stuff. You be in a certain way. You got to produce. You know what I mean? Like, look, Patrick Mahomes, look at him. He's producing. He's being what we think he is. He don't won a Super Bowl because you know what? That burning desire in him, he wouldn't stop. You know what I mean? He wouldn't stop. He was going to keep fighting until he won. And that's what they want Cam to do. And Cam seems very Donovan McNabb-ish.
Right. And that's why I think it's so funny, like, it's weird, like, how it's, like, they're not intertwined, but, like, a lot of it, like, too, because I'm not trying to say it like this, but I'm going to say it. Right. They kind of fell off the cliff quickly.
Right.
Like, it happened, like, all of a sudden, like.
All of a sudden.
And, yeah, and it's, yeah.
Great McNabb was a big success. I remember playing with him on Madden like crazy. He was, you know what I mean? And then he get traded, and then it just wasn't the same. I didn't want to disrespect the team, so that's why I didn't say your team.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, I mean, hey, he had a cup of coffee in D.C. and I mean, it didn't really work out like we expected. We figured, this was gonna be Shanahan's John Elway, and right. We were gonna at least win 2 Super Bowls, and this one is for Dan. But
and I believe
it didn't work out.
I believe it didn't work out because he didn't want to be there. He never wanted to leave Philly. I bet you. He never wanted to leave Philly. And this goal, okay, I don't believe he wanted to leave Philly. I believe he always wanted to be in Philly, and I believe he wanted to be with Andy Reid. But this is the thing. It's just like Dak. Terrell balled for you. And you know what's funny? When you do certain things, like Terrell balled for you, and you didn't fight for Terrell to get paid, and he should have. He should have spoke out. You know what I mean? Because they asked him. And he said he was very rude about it. I don't remember what he said, but I remember them asking him, and he wasn't. He didn't want Terrell Owens dead. You know what I mean? And I don't understand that, but you could tell. Remember the infamous? They was having a bad game, I think, against Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And Terrell kept fighting him, like, man, let's do it. You know what I mean? And motivating him.
Yeah.
I remember.
And it pissed him off.
Right. And I remember journalists and reporters talk about, man, I would tell Terrell, leave me alone and make him go sit down. I'm like, because your receiver, your teammate, is telling you, don't worry about, we got this. What is y'all talking about?
Yeah, man, crazy.
And then the next week they play, they dominate, and then they joking around about it. You know what I'm saying? I just think some players, man, they great, but they just want to be in there and play. They don't even really want to win. That's what's sad. I believe some players just don't want to win. They just want to get paid. They want to play. If they win, they win, but they don't want to take it to the extra mile because they can't deal with what comes with winning that championship. They can't deal with it. A lot of players can, and some of them don't have the athletic ability to, like for instance, you do great with what you do, coach, but the lights and everything might hit you. You may get nervous. Then it's a dude who don't have half of your talent, but he gonna go up there and he love it, and you just looking like, oh my God, why is this dude doing like, you know what I'm saying? Why is he doing it? You know what I mean? And then that's when you step in like, oh man, he's messing up the show. Okay, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel. I think I don't think he ever wanted to. I think he was complacent and he was happy playing for Andy Reid and happy. And if that was the case, if he was happy playing for Andy Reid, then maybe he should have did what maybe they'd have got a championship. You know what I mean? Because to me, he got Andy Reid fired.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but the thing about it,
my bad. He was after it. No, but he still lost those. That's right. He was after because Michael Vick was there.
Vick was there, yeah. That Vick took his spot essentially.
Right.
And that's why, part of me was like, and I knew something was up. Kind of like, you could trade that man within the division. Like, you don't see no red flag with this. That's the first thing I thought. Like, well, why are they trading this man to a rival. Like,
right.
but hey, hindsight is 2020. Always don't never ignore the red flags. But yeah. So let's get into our top 5 segment. So, got to go into our all-time starting 5, and it was rough because I was going back and forth, and I ended up just committing to a 5, and it was just like, ugh.
So I have a bunch, man. Can I read?
Yeah.
I can find. I got a bunch, and let me see. Oh, that's not it. Okay, can't find it. All right, so I'm gonna read my dad's.
Mhm.
Okay, let me see. Where is it at? All right, here we go. My little homie Trevante Jones, Hopewell finest. He said Oscar Robertson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain. Couch Coach Live alumni, Jamie, he said Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay. My legendary Uncle Rico, he said LeBron James, Kobe, Jordan, Isaiah Thompson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Man, I got a couple. I'm sorry. My man Vic, he chimed in and he said point guard Magic, shooting guard Jordan, small forward LeBron James, forward Anthony Davis, and center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. His lovely wife, she chimed in and she said Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Shaq. It's so funny, man. As dominant Shaq was, I didn't get a lot of Shaqs. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. I was weird too. I like Shaq. You would think,
right?
And I really wanted to put him on my list too, but a part of me was like, okay, Shaq but the thing about it is like he had like a dominant run, a dominant run, and it's just like,
and
it was scary.
I would love to see the Rodman Bulls versus the Shaq and Kobe. I would love to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that. Okay, let me hurry up. I know you gotta do yours. Okay, my Jada Barber, he put Magic, Jordan, Kobe, and Rodman. My dad said Kareem, Jordan, LeBron, Duncan, and Kobe. And now for Maui, Iverson, LeBron, Dr. J, Petersburg's own Moses Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because I was leaning towards Iverson too, but then the part of me was like, man, I just need to have a starting 10. So I had a couple guys chime in. Our guy Jeff Hunt of the Jeff Needs Help podcast. He did Akeem, LeBron, Pippen, MJ, and Kobe. And it's funny because how we talked about, and it's funny because we were talking about Pippen and LeBron, like how, in a sense, when you look at how Pippen, and I was pretty much, we were saying, we were like, Andre Iguodala in a sense is like a poor man's Scottie Pippen,
right,
where he guarded the best, the best defender and what have you, and that would be kind of interesting because you think about it. Them LeBron and Pippen kind of switching off defensively.
Right.
Like that would be kind of interesting of how that as a coach, like how would you that would just be like kind of like a dream. Like you're like, okay, you got two guys who can defend the perimeter very well, and this is like they can be the interchangeable parts. And then also another friend of the podcast, our guy Chris LeBron of the Off the Ball podcast, Magic. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, and Shaq. Interesting.
Oh, wait. man. Oh, them two big boys is crazy.
And so now, I have Magic at my point guard. I have Jordan at the 2. Got LeBron at the 3. Tim Duncan. Come on now, you know I'm gonna have LeBron James. I mean, that would be sacrilegious not to have him on a list. But Tim Duncan, it's like I said, it's sports hate. It's not real hate. Sports hate. But so Tim Duncan at my 4, and then Hakeem. I gotta give Hakeem.
Yeah,
that was a lot, and it was And I wanted to do Shaq, but then like I didn't want to. You know, I wanted to have an originality because Shaq is easy in a sense. Because you got to think about it, that dominant run in the early 2000s was just just amazing. It was great to watch.
It was worse than he was worse than. And you know what's funny? They got to show you how great Phil and Tex was.
Right.
You know? And I know they probably said, look, we love Michael, but Michael was gonna score regardless, whatever it's gonna be.
Right.
But to watch our offense go through Shaq,
center, right?
And their fault, though, because they should have told him how important it was for him to make free throws. It's no excuse that his free throw percentage, like that's what's sad about it, because if his if he'd have made his free throws, he actually might be number 2, or might have almost, got close to Kareem, or at least in the top 7 of scorers. But I think he said he might have outscored Kareem if he'd have made his. He said his dad was showing him, if you'd have made your free throws, this is where you would have been at. You know what I mean? And that's
right.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I would have put Akeem. I wanted to put Akeem because I know how much of a beast was Akeem. But I wasn't gonna put Iverson because I was gonna put Penny Hardaway. And I was
that would have been interesting too.
Right. I was like, nah, Iverson is my heart. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I'm going to start him, but I know he'll be a liability on defense. But I think I got you wrong for that. I got so many athletes, you know what I'm saying? And I love trash guys. So I was like, if anything, Moses, I could have put Rob in there, but I said, Moses, rebounds, he can score just if I needed him to score. He got a nice little jumper. And I said, he's going to be intimidated. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, Dr. J can run the floor good. He long. And I said, Iverson and LeBron would just lose. They'd probably be having so much damn fun. I was like, and then I was like, Kareem could be, I need a half-court guy. So I was like, I'm going to give it to Kareem. I wanted a big boy. I could have put Davis, but I said, I'm going to put Kareem there because I believe he's one of the best half-court spot up with the hook. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I seen him even do the 3-point line. I said, I need that half-court guy. But I was like, man, Iverson and LeBron been throwing so many alley-oops to damn Dr. J.
Right.
Mess around and make this team on damn live.
Yeah, because this team and the one I got, it's just fundamentally sound, and everybody has their own style. That was made like Akeem with that dream shake. Tim Duncan, fundamental. LeBron is just LeBron, brute, physical, Karl Malone type of body, physique, and is the fastest person in the gym. Like Jordan is Jordan, and then Magic with just that speed, that quickness. Like you can just see him on the run. You seeing these guys just doing their thing. It's crazy.
You know what's crazy? I was never a Magic Johnson fan.
Really?
I really was. My dad criticized me because he can't say Michael Jordan, but he really don't like Michael. He gonna say, how you not gonna have Kobe or Michael Jordan on your list? I said, man. He said, Sean, I bought you Enrico a Jordan T-shirt. I said that because I didn't like the Pistons. I wanted Michael to get a ring. You know what I'm saying? But I'm living in New Jersey, man. I was a Knicks fan. Mark Jackson, Kenny Skywalker, Patrick Hughes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But see, my first Christmas that I really remember was 1980, and I got Sugar Ray Leonard gloves, because like I told you before in the past, I thought I was too sweet from penitentiary. Leon Isaac Kennedy, right? So I got my Sugar Ray Leonard gloves, and then I had a basketball hoop that went 6 foot, and it was Dr. J. You know what I mean? So I was a Dr. J fan, man. You know what I mean? The Fish that say Pittsburgh, I was Dr. J. Magic was with the Lakers, man. You know what I'm saying? And they always won. So I always looked at it like, but, you know, between Boston and Lakers, I like the Lakers. I used to like the Michael Cooper, I think his name was. He used to shoot them threes. I liked him, but I was the type of person, everybody around me liked this certain thing. I didn't want to like them. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody liked the Browns, and I was like, nah, I like the Steelers. You see what I'm saying? And everybody loved the Lakers. Everybody loved the Lakers. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I wasn't he was a beast, but I just, like, his passes was good. I don't know. He was so stiff to me sometimes. Magic was. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm tripping, but he just wasn't. Then when Jordan came, Jordan was so smooth, like, you know what I mean, and graceful. You know what I'm saying? When he would do his moves, and I was like, wow, you know. And then my dude Iverson came in. Iverson just was. It was just something I had. Iverson played the way I would play, and that's one reason I put him on the team, because I felt like everybody on the team, I only can have one person that's kind of like the ball hog. You know what I mean? That want that shot, and that's why I put Iverson. I couldn't have Kobe, Jordan, and Iverson on the same team.
Yeah, that'd be ain't enough basketballs for them.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, man.
That'd be crazy. But man, that was fun. Everybody hit me up,
man.
You know, messages, and then I seen somebody. Vic's wife, Erica, she posted on Facebook, so it was some more, you know what I'm saying, some more people, but it was a lot of the same names. But I will say this, everyone had Kobe, LeBron, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing, too, because I really wanted to put Kobe, but like, I didn't want to do, because Kobe and Jordan are like mutually exclusive, and I don't think, in a sense, like, I couldn't do either. You know, it's like either or with them. Like, I wanted to put Iverson, but I wanted to put. It's weird. I wanted to kind of put Kevin Garnett in there 4, but then a part of me, I wanted to put either Kevin Garnett, LeBron, or Scottie on that, because I like, well, Scottie, I didn't think about Scottie and LeBron on that team. That'd be kind of interesting. That'd be a nice little interesting dynamic. But then it's like I can't leave off Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is just a big fundamental. Then like Magic, Showtime Lakers, you know, those, you know, off the break, you know, being able to those no look passes, and I wonder how he could, you know, dip it inside to Akeem. Like, you know, I thought about all those kind of factors where it's just like all the combinations blew my mind.
Oh man, I forgot one. I'm sorry. I knew I was gonna forget one. My man Tori, he chimed in. he said Kareem, Wilt, Kobe, Jordan, Magic. And he was. Do you know how hard it was for him to come up with this 5? He was like, Sean, I don't have enough time. I said, man, you got like 4 hours. No, man, that's deep right there. That's deep. I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, it really ain't. But
the thing about it
is deep though.
It is, but then it's like you just got to commit to it. I get it, trust me, because I wrote something down like at 9 o'clock this morning, 4:30, something different, 6:30, commit.
Right.
Essentially, because it's like, yeah, because then you're like, oh, that's just a stupid lineup, and then like, oh, this thing's gonna work. Not, you know, like not in a sense, like, but I was like, I want to leave. You know, don't want to in a sense omit guys. It's like, Because a part of me was like, it was tough not putting Shaq and Kobe on this list because it just them individually and just that, and then I mean like Kareem, I didn't want, and I kind of was like, well, I can at least say I could preface like I really didn't really see Kareem play, so a part of me was like, I'm gonna give it a fair shake and see the guys who I actually witnessed play, even though I got Magic on my list. Even though I saw the bad Magic, 96 Magic, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, but then a part of me was like, huh?
The sad thing about that, B, is that almost all of us, our favorite stars, we saw the bad one. Like, why didn't you just stay gone?
Right.
Man, do you know how hard it was to see Iverson? It was sad, even in the Big Three. I'm like, he really can't play no more.
And let me tell you a story about Iverson. I remember his last stop in Memphis, and it's funny because the Wizards were playing the Grizzlies at the Seagull Center, and I went to the game, and it's crazy, and it's like, so we all at the game, and I'm looking at Iverson at the end of the bench, like literally, like he was like literally at the end of the bench, almost down to the locker room. And I was like, yo, this dude is done. Like, this dude, he's just like, look. I knew, I was like, for then I was like, yeah, Iverson, I think he about to just check out. He just looks so uninterested.
What made you think that it's so bad? Like, he was in Denver, he was balling, then they made a trade and said for him to go. What do you think happened? You think something happened to him?
I don't know. And that's the thing where it's just like, because that's another thing where everything escalated. Because we were like, okay, he going to Memphis. Maybe he'd be all right. But then it's like, then when I see him on the bench in that preseason game, I was like, oh, yeah, Iverson's done. Like, he doesn't, like, I remember when they broke the huddle, like, they was doing a huddle. That man was still sitting down. I was like, yeah, he done. That ain't the Iverson I know. That ain't the one that said, we talk about practice. Not a game. We talk about practice. Like, that's the game that I live for. That's the game that I die for. We talk about practice.
I remember the Wizards.
He done.
Came down and had an open dunk and missed it. Like that was like, oh my God! Just how he missed it was crazy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you something. A part of me feel like it's kind of like when I watched this documentary, right? And you could see Jordan like when he had that All-Star game, and he realized like he one of the old ones, and Magic came over here. He was like, man, what you doing over here? You know what I'm saying? This is the East. You're supposed to be on the West. He said, man, I deal with the old. And he said, because all the young players was on the other team. That's why the West.
Right.
That's why the West is dominating, B. Because all the young players that was in that All-Star game was on the West. You know what I mean? You should have known that the West was about to take over.
Yeah.
And
it didn't help. It didn't help that Larry Bird was his coach, like in that All-Star game. So that's another that was weird. And then Isaiah Thomas ended up being his head coach in 2003. Like, all this is just weird. Like, all of it just is weird how all this stuff happens.
All right, man. What's your take on the Isaiah thing? Be honest with you. This is coming from House Coach Live. Tell me how you really feel about it.
I think I sincerely hope that they make up. But a part of me, I don't really think that this is going to happen. And to be honest with you, I don't blame him. The biggest ringleader was Bill Laimbeer. Right. That's who you really who essentially and I feel bad, and I get what Isaiah is doing. He deems himself as a leader, so he's gonna fall on the sword, which is unfair that he has to carry that torch. Because I think everybody to a man loves Isaiah Thomas. I just think what happens is, in that love, in a sense, he fell on the sword for the wrong thing. Right. And I really think it's really, when you think about it, was Bill Laimbeer. where who had the situation, and I just hope, and that's why I'm hoping, just like what Isaiah and Magic did, because they didn't talk for years. Like I think they just kind of made up, pause, but they kind of got to a healthy medium. Like what, about 2 or 3 years ago? If that, it might have been earlier, but because they used to kiss on the cheek. It's kind of like
Man, them dudes need.
It was kind of but that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I kind of preface that way. Yeah, and that's why I said too. Where
go ahead.
I think so too, because I don't want. I think and that's one thing too. Like the COVID situation kind of really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. Where it's like these guys, it's a fraternity. This is a situation for them. There's only a select few people that can go through these same experiences as you. You have to embrace each other. It's over. It's 30 years ago. The freeze dog thing was 35 years ago. Like, we gotta let that go. And I don't want them to be. I don't want them talking to each other funeral. And then people deem it as fake.
Right.
Where in a sense, I want these guys to make up, and guys just really realize that, hey, but Jordan ain't gonna let it die, bro. Like, it's gonna be a cold day in hell. If I ever see Michael Jordan, and Isaiah Thomas having a special on NBA TV, I am boarding up my house. I'm reading out my Bible. I'm gonna be on my knees. I'm gonna pray. I would be scared. I would hide under my mattress. I would hide under my bed with a Bible and a flashlight.
When I watched it, Isaiah's like, man, if that's the case, that I didn't, then he on some type of way he's saying he's sorry. And he was like, come on now, Jordan, you gotta let that go, bro, because it's a bunch of stuff you did when you were young. But that's what I'm saying. Like, even though we adults, it's still childhood things in us that we have to overcome. And I'm going to tell you, this is one for him, where I think it goes back when his brother was playing basketball against him, and I beat you. And okay, I'll give you an example. He is playing on the flight. He's paying $1,000 hands with Ron Harper and this and them, right? He goes up with Will Perdue and he wants to play for $1. And his thing is, okay, I beat you. I want $1. You know what I'm saying? If you tell him, man, I'm not paying you, you tripping, man. You shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not paying you, Mike. You know what I mean? Mike would take it to the point where he will hold that grudge because you didn't pay that $1. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I beat you. You got to pay me. Like, I'm not paying you that $1, man. Leave me alone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whereas, but it's the principle in his mind. You know what I mean? Okay. But that's what you did to him. It's not about what I did to you. And I think that's something that I think deep down he may be still working with himself about. You know what I mean? Because everything, I'm going to be real with you. Everything that he complaining about, right, this thing is about, to me, he's doing the same thing because his team sucks. And it's in North Carolina, it's a basketball town, so if they winning, they going to sell out. And his team sucks. He never wants to pay anybody. When he knows for a fact, you got to pay for a great coach. He knows the foreman. He's done it. He's Michael Jordan. But why isn't he doing it?
But, and you say that, but Charles Barkley illustrated, and you think about it, they were close. They were best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan and Barkley kind of shed a light and kind of said some truth about Jordan and how he running that team, and they don't even talk to each other no more.
That's what I'm saying.
Because and what he really said, which is true. Jordan, in a sense, He's surrounded by a bunch of yes men.
Right.
That's why the team isn't successful. Because Jordan is so revered to a point where if you make a sound decision, you're scared that he's going to get rid of you.
Right.
Essentially. Because trust me, ain't nobody in this world is going to tell this man to draft no damn Adam Morrison. If somebody would have spoken and told the truth, they probably would have lost their job. Ain't no way in hell somebody told that man to draft Adam Morrison. Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Hold on. Your boy Tavon Murray just put his 5 in.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan. Now,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying, and I think that's what makes this is so people can see, like he got the shoe, but all of that is his agent. His agent was a great businessman. Truth be told, I hate to tell everybody, but one of the reasons, and Isaiah was not on that team because Michael was bothered by him, and his agent represented the NBA when the deal with NBC and the deal with the Olympics. His agent represented them. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of power there. It was a lot of power there. So like now, he's not a good businessman. Like he's not a guy that's really good at building a team. Is he really trying to build a team? He can easily go get a general manager that knows somewhat what he's doing and then do it. Danny Ainge. He ain't won no championship.
But he has one.
But he has one. But I believe he knows how to run a team. He's one of the best GMs in the league to me, compared to how many GMs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. But I think what we learned about him is the reason why that team is not doing well, because he doesn't understand everybody don't have what he has. The only person I saw that has that burn desire with the athletic ability and the smarts was Kobe Bryant.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And that too, where and that's why, I think it might have been Red Auerbach, because he always said the guys who were just mediocre guys, they have patience versus a guy like Jordan, because it's easy for him because that's just how he is, and then coupled with the fact of him being revered. Like, he does have a viable general manager, in my personal opinion, in Mitch Kupchak. But, of course, that's Mitch Kupchak. That's his guy from Carolina. So, Mitch ain't going to do nothing. He's not going to rock the boat because Jordan's there. And that's the thing. Because you think about, you just look at all these not trades, but that's how he runs everything. And it just that lets you know, ain't nobody in that room that's telling him, look, don't draft Adam Morrison. He don't got nobody in the room that tell him that.
Sure.
And that's the problem. That's the biggest problem. No one's telling him that. Everybody's just going by there, just saying he's surrounded by a bunch of yes men. That's why when you really sit down and you think about Charles Barkley saying that, and then you understand why they don't talk to each other, because in a sense it's kind of low key the truth.
Yeah, and he don't want nobody telling him the truth.
Correct. Right. So that's why I'm just you see that. You see why it's not going to work in Charlotte. It's not.
And my thing
it's point blank.
Right. And when I look at Charlotte, I look at the old Bulls. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? For real. Michael was a kid that didn't hardly drink, didn't do anything, and he just wanted to play. You know what I'm saying? You walk in there and look and you know what's funny? When I saw that, you know who I thought about? I thought about Kobe. Or Kobe kind of doing the same thing, looking at everybody damn, y'all doing all that. Because he's in high school. Matter of fact, Jerry West said he didn't even have a license. He said my son had to drive him around. You know what I'm saying? So when I see him saying he going to the hotel room and he was looking for the players and he knocked on the door and he said everybody was into whatever stuff that they was into, and he just was I ain't do none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And he just played basketball and played basketball. It's kind of sad because I do want Jordan to be successful as an owner, not just I'm an owner. I want him to be successful at it. You know, like I remember I told you I wanted LeBron to go with him. I said because that would be crazy to see two icon guys because they already feel like they can't get along, be together, and come up and make a championship team or a successful team, you know? But because I don't feel like LeBron is like Kobe, and I think he's more like Magic and Kareem mixed together, and a little bit of Shaq, because Shaq had a playful, kiddie personality, and I think he got that from Shaq, and I think he got Magic's showmanship, body-wise, and how they play, and I think he got that activist from Kareem, and I really compare him and Kareem more than anything. You know what I mean? But yeah, watching this, man, it helps me understand the type of owner or the type of person him dealing with business. At least an owner for the Bobcats, because he has a lot of yes men. Like even on it, it's telling me it's extremely a lot. And I would love to ask him, like, who do you talk to or deal with that's going to just be honest and keep it real with you, that's going to tell you the truth? Because his pops is
nobody. It's evident. I mean, it's evident. It's evident.
You know, even his marriage really wasn't real from the get-go. Like, what I mean by not real is I feel like she just played her position.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Hey, I mean, hey, that's what happens, man. Hey, do your job. What Bill Belichick say? Do your job.
And learning that, it almost made me feel like, so was that to help the persona? You know what I'm saying? That he's a family man and this, that. Man.
Yeah. So let's put a bow on this week's Couch Coach Live, man. Game ball. Who gets game ball this week?
Man, game ball for me is going to all the streaming services. they Crackle, Tubi, it's like Prime and Netflix, YouTube. Thank you, because I know if I ain't have none of that stuff, man, I'll probably go crazy. Crackle, I would happen to look up a movie and they had we watched, me and my daughter, we watched a movie, but my dad, I kept it there. We was watching at his house, and then he ended up seeing some sports stuff that had Zion and some of his high school players, and they got to meet some NBA stars. So it was like, I didn't even know that was on there. So just to throw that in there, like I'm watching, just been some really good shows that I've been seeing that I never had a chance to watch, that I'm excited that I can't wait for the next season to come.
Yeah.
But, man, game ball. Also, one more game ball has to go to Chick-fil-A. I'm sorry, I love organization. I love people that are thinking and being creative, just like Mr. Couch Coach Live. And I'm definitely giving a shout-out to Chick-fil-A. You know, the Chick-fil-A in my area is in one of the worst places. It's in one of the busiest stores, which is Walmart in Colonial Heights. The Chick-fil-A over there. And they came up with a way to get you in and get you out. And I just want to give them the game ball and shouts out, because I was like, usually I'd be like, man, that line too long. The line is never too long at Chick-fil-A. Like, you know?
Yeah. So it sucks on a somber note, but the coach of all coaches, Couch Coach Live, and game ball's got to go to one of the greatest coaches in pretty much in all sports, Don Shula, who passed away yesterday at the age of 90. The winningest coach in NFL history. So, man, definitely huge shout out. Definitely condolences to his family. And, yeah, man, lost another legend in 2020.
Right, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, man. 2020 has been 2020 has just been it's been kind of a rough year as far as when it comes to the sports icons that we've followed, and just all that is concerned. But yeah, man, where can they find you on social media?
DT MORGAN 78 Instagram and Deshaun Morgan Facebook.
All right. And don't forget to follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on the Couch Coach Live. Also the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe. Leave us feedback and what have you. And yeah, man, we'll have some exciting news in the next couple days, and coming up. We got some stuff brewing, and we'll definitely keep you abreast on. Definitely catch us on social media, so you'll be on top of that. So for Maui, this is Coach, man. This is Couch Coach Live. We see you guys next week.
All righty.